I'm very blue-collared, old school. I'm really big on doing the little things, right? We preach on that a lot of, fundamentals and doing those things. But I would also say, I'm a very passionate person in everything that I do. I'm also very competitive. I don't even let my 4-year-old beat me in Candyland. So I think that is a true thing of any Nicole Thompson teams of having a lot of grit, not being shy away from the adversity or working hard in good old blue-collared way, but also, having fun while we do it.
You're listening to the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, giving you an in-depth look at Missouri Western athletics with interviews, features, game broadcasts, and more. Here's your host, Tommy Rezac.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. I am your host, Tommy Rezac, Director of Broadcasting here at Missouri Western State University, and I feel like maybe we're a few weeks late doing this. It was a couple months ago that we hired our newest head coach on the Missouri Western campus, Nicole Thompson, Missouri Western head softball coach, the 7th head coach in the history of a very storied program here at Missouri Western. And Coach, joining us here today. Coach, welcome. I've gotten to see you here and there over the last couple of months. I myself starting a new position here this summer, so it's been busy. And I know this is technically, the off season, but, I saw you helping out at the Griffon Golf Classic, and you and your team have been very busy the last month directing traffic here on campus for the Chiefs training camp. So you've gotten kind of a grassroots introduction here to Missouri Western, but all things all told, how has it been for you so far?
It's been great. I love the family atmosphere so far here at Missouri Western, and moved my family over here, and we got started right in the golf tournament, and then we turned into the Chiefs camp. And so it's been really nice to have the team, though, get back here and for me to meet them a little bit outside of the softball field as well to start with the Chiefs parking. And so I'm very excited to be here. I'm honored to be here, and so it's been kind of get on the ground and running already.
Absolutely. A little bit of background on Coach Thompson, if you have forgotten or just don't know at all. The coach comes to us from Division II Regis University in Denver, Colorado. 5 years there as the head coach, 132 wins in that time. This past season, perhaps the best, winning the RMAC Tournament Championship this past season and leading Regis to their first NCAA tournament bid since 2015. 33-plus wins each of the last 3 years for Coach Thompson in Regis, her home state of Colorado. You come from Loveland, about an hour. That's south of Denver, is it, or north? North. Okay, very good. And then before that, 3 years as the head coach at NAIA Union College in Barberville, Kentucky. 82 wins there. So I'm bad at math, but crunching those numbers, 214 career wins, including an Appalachian Athletic Conference Coach of the Year honor in 2017. But Coach, your start is a somewhat unique one in the coaching realm. You get a job at Union College there in Kentucky as assistant athletic director for athletic communications. In simple terms, sports information, sports media, sports communications. But then all of a sudden that same year, fall of 2016, you're in the interim head softball coach role, elevated to full-time, and the rest is history. So take me through that. We talked a little bit before we started rolling that you had kind of had an interest in either communications, media, administration, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into this role. What was that year 2016 like for you?
Yes, very, very crazy, but I honestly cannot say that I wouldn't be where I'm at now because of that, and took a leap of faith. And softball's always been my passion, clearly playing college, grew up around it. Didn't really know what I wanted to do out of college, and softball quits. And so I had the luxury of being an assistant my first year out of college at my alma mater, and at Bethany College, And so after that, I was like, okay, I probably should go back to school to get my master's. And I know I want to be a part of sports in some, altitude throughout my life. And so I found this master's program at William Woods in Fulton, Missouri. And it was more of a GA-ship through the athletic department, through the SID. And I was like, you know what, I could come back to softball if I needed it. And so took that and kind of learned the whole SID life and worked around the athletic department, which I loved, and exactly that. I graduated there those 2 years and learned a lot, and then that got me the job at Union. And honestly, I think it was just God's timing. They let go of the coach, and my AD came through and was like, hey, we know you have a softball background. Would you like to take over some practices while we go through the hiring search? And after that, I went through that for a couple of months, and the AD then came through and was like, this job is yours if you want it. And so I always kind of joke around about it, of like kind of getting thrown into the fire and learning really quick. And I think that was really the start of my coaching career, of like, okay, I leaned on a lot of mentors and went back to a lot of my coaching or my playing experience, and called my coach a few times of like, okay, this was time to be a head coach. And you learn a lot of things that don't work and a lot of things that do work, and you just kind of evolve year by year from it.
Absolutely. Nicole Thompson, Missouri Western's new softball coach, the newest head coach on campus, joining us on the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. Well, at Bethany in the state of Kansas, home of the Swedes, you're a two-sport athlete, basketball and softball. Now, obviously, you made your mark in softball, 3-time first-team all-conference pick, that being the KCAC conference. Was softball always your first love? Was basketball a future you had considered at that point? Or
yeah, it was really tough. It's honestly why I picked Bethany. Just the smaller atmosphere, smaller school, but the ability to play both sports. I had a hard time getting out of college, of getting recruited both ways, and why not go through college to being able to do both? I don't know what my body will feel like about that and later on, but it was honestly an experience that I don't regret and would do it all over again in those 4 years. But a lot of time, a lot of commitment, but I think it shaped me to who I am today for sure. Yeah.
Shifting to more recent history, again, talked about, you're from the Denver proper area, a Bronco fan, which I'm sure you didn't proclaim too loudly at Chiefs training camp, but the last 5 years, you're coaching in Denver, you're having good success, you're close to home, started a family, as you talked about. So much to be said for being close to home. Like I myself, I'm 2 hours from where I grew up, and I'm very grateful for that. But I've also lived, I lived in Minnesota before this. I know what it's like to be far from home and kind of balance that, career advancement and work-life balance and everything. What kind of compelled you, end of the day, to take this leap? What really grabbed you about this place?
Colorado will always be home. Yeah. My family's still there, and I do love the mountains. And I do love my Broncos. But taking this leap of faith and this jump with my family, it had to mark a lot of boxes. And from the minute I got on the interview with AD Andy Carter here, I knew that this was going to be our new home. And since I've taken this job, and it hit everything. It hit the competitiveness. It hit the family atmosphere. It hit a new challenge for me. And Regis was a great time for my family and I. Yeah. It got me into the Division II world, which I really, really love. Helped me start my family as well, of, having Kramer being around sports and softball and those girls. And I think each year I grew as a coach and as a leader. And so Regis was a huge, stepping stone to get where I'm at now. But I'm really excited to be here. And like I said, it hit a lot of boxes for me, and I wanted a place that if I knew I was leaving home and family, that it was going to another home and family, and I definitely feel that here.
You come in at a rather interesting time in the sports calendar year in terms of the school year, school being out, a change being made at the tail end of the school year, people on summer break, people kind of spread out back to their home states. But in the time that you've had to talk with the players who are already here, many of them multiple years, what have those conversations been like, and how have they bought in? Because we were talking about earlier, y'all have been kind of by default been spending some time together directing traffic and different things. So what's it been like just getting to know this team?
Yeah, I think honestly that's been a great thing, because that's kind of how I have my recruiting and just my team culture is I want to build that family atmosphere and that atmosphere of our doors always open. And so seeing or getting to know me off the field, I think, is a big thing for my players, and vice versa, of, recognizing them outside of softball and outside of just my players. And so I think it's been good. I think it's been good to, get to know them, like I said, outside of the softball lines of who they are, what majors are they, where are they from, having those conversations that are a little bit more relaxed and not having softball to do really with anything of it. But it's also been good to kind of get to see their perspective on the year. And this is such a tradition-rich program, and you can tell that with these girls, and so it's been kind of very, very nice to see like what their goals are and what they want to do with this program moving forward, and so that's been fun to hear through these last couple weeks.
Very tradition rich, particularly in these last 20 or so years, and part of that tradition being honored this year when the 2016 Missouri Western softball team, MIAA champions, will officially be enshrined into the Missouri Western Athletics Hall of Fame later this fall, so certainly looking forward to that. And you were telling me that everyone that was on campus last year that played, no one's transferred out. I mean, in this day and age, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I think it says a lot to this campus, a lot to this athletic department, because to me, if you don't have that culture and grind in them, then, when you have a coaching change, I think that gives those kids those opportunities to leave for whatever decision that they make. And so that was one of the big boxes that hit a mark for me, is that the culture and the atmosphere is already kind of built in that foundation, and these girls are wanting to be here, and they've really honestly accepted me with open arms so far, and so I'm excited to come in and step in and be that leader for them.
Well, let's talk about some building blocks that you're adding to the program. 5 transfers this offseason, 3 of them following you from Regis. Catcher Sydney Young, catcher/utility player Sydney Young, also from Regis, outfielder Sienna Reed, and catcher/utility player Rachel Barriga. And then you bring in a couple of players from the JUCO ranks from Central Arizona, infielder Lauren Newland, and also shortstop Ava McComas. I hope I got those names mostly right anyway. Ava coming from Northeastern Junior College. As I always tell any coach when I talk about a signing class or recruiting class, you could probably do a whole podcast on just that. But these 5 players, to get some familiarity there from Regis and also some JUCO products there. What can they add, and how excited are you to get to work with them here?
Yeah, like I talked about, of having that foundation here already with the returners and with some of the freshmen that have signed to come here. I'm really excited for these transfers. Clearly, am I a little bit more familiar with the 3 that are coming from Regis, of, being able to have a year or a couple years under the belt with them. And I'm excited that they wanted to follow me over here. And we're a very offensive-minded conference in the RMAC. And so bringing Sienna and Sid and Rachel, who really helped us out offensively this year at Regis, that's really what I'm excited for, to see them in the MIAA and how that shapes up. They all 3 have power to hit the long ball. They all 3 have contributed with us at Regis at a very high level this past year. And so I'm excited for them to bring that experience and, just their attitudes here of wanting to win and wanting to compete and, being good teammates. And so I'm excited for that. Ava and Lauren, we got, I was recruiting them clearly at Regis as well. And Ava's just a powerhouse at the shortstop. As you can tell with her numbers, I mean, she put up 53 home runs in 2 years. That's pretty incredible. Yeah. Doesn't matter where you're at. And so I'm excited to add that as well to our offensive mindset here. And Lauren's just a very scrappy middle infielder and has some speed. She can swing from the left side, which I think it adds just to our foundation that we have offensively here, of just bringing a left-handed swing, that bat that we can add to power, can do a little bit of anything from the left side with some speed. So I'm excited for those 5. I think they're going to add in and like I said, build off of what we have here already, which they won over 30 games last year. They won some pretty tight games. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a program that, like we talked about, pretty much you go back the last 20 years, lots of winning seasons, lots of good accomplishments. Even in years where there wasn't necessarily a banner, this has been a program that's long been in pretty good standing historically. Not the only addition you make. We learned this week a new assistant on your staff, Stephanie Dickerson. Now, she has a vast background in softball, particularly in Division I. And in this region, played her ball at Missouri State and had a whole mess of accolades as a starting pitcher, including Missouri Valley Pitcher of the Year in 2021. Now, Stephanie joins us from the University of Kansas, where she had been a grad assistant the last couple of years. Just a really impressive resume, a really impressive person you've added to your staff.
I'm very excited to get her here and get to work with our pitchers and catchers. Another fun fact, too, she also hit when she was at Missouri State. So adding her alongside of just not only in the bullpens, but giving her, a little bit of luxury to help me out on the offensive side. But the stuff that she can do with the bullpens, her mindset that she has, clearly her athletic ability that she already can relate to of doing it herself already at a very high level at Missouri State. And then Coach McFall just had great things to say about her at KU, and I think that experience with her there can only help this program here. And we both have from meeting her, very, very similar mindsets of, building the culture, wanting to have fun, but also very much competing at the highest level in the MIAA. And so I'm excited. I think this pitching staff's going to really grow, really, just mesh with her, and I'm excited to see where we can go.
Absolutely. Talking of the fall, this do we know who we're playing there yet? Are you piecing together a fall schedule?
Yeah, still piecing. We've got a couple JUCOs on the radar right now that we're having, so we definitely have 3 scrimmages as of right now. Nice. All here on campus, so that will be exciting to hopefully just get here, start practice, not have to travel, get some families out here to see that. So yeah, it will be a good time to see everything that we have between our returners, a freshman class coming in, and now we're adding the transfers, and then 2 new coaches to the staff. So. Yeah,
and before we know it, come back February, we'll be playing some real games. It
will be here before you know it.
It'll sneak up on us, that's for sure. I guess last thing for you, this is your 3rd head coaching stop. Coaching in NAIA Division II. You're still in D2 in the MIAA. Through all this, what's maybe a common denominator of Nicole Thompson teams? What identity do you hope this group takes on?
That's a great question. Oh. That is a very good question. I think a lot of players would look back of just the grittiness. I'm very blue collared, old school. I'm really big on doing the little things right. We preach on that a lot of fundamentals and doing those things. But I would also say, I'm a very passionate person in everything that I do. I'm also very competitive. I don't even let my 4-year-old beat me in Candyland. So I think that is a true thing of any Nicole Thompson teams of having a lot of grit, not being shy away from the adversity or working hard in good old blue-collared way, but also, having fun while we do it. But at the end of the day, too, of having that competitive passion while we do it, of wanting to all be here together, wanting to go through the trenches together. It's a long season. We start in the fall. A lot of people don't think that, but we practice in the fall. We lift in the fall. The girls honestly probably do a lot more in the fall than we do, when it comes to game times in the spring. And so, when we're hopefully holding that trophy at the end of the year, we can look back and be like, it was worth it. And I think a lot of my players can go back and be like, okay, she can push us, but in a good way, and in a motherly way, and in a way that we can still be competitive but having fun.
Yeah, a lot of trophies, softball trophies in the trophy case, a lot of banners out there at the Griffon Spring Sports Complex, and softball looking to add to that in this new era of the program's history. Nicole Thompson joining us as the 7th head coach in Missouri Western softball history. Well, Nicole, good to get to know you a little bit better. I look forward to continuing to get to know you and your players, and look forward to watching some high-quality softball this spring. And as I say with all of our coaches, just best of luck with everything. Look forward to it.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it, and go Griffs.
Absolutely. That is, again, Nicole Thompson joining us on this episode of the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. Remember, all of our episodes are archived. You can go listen to them. Please hit subscribe on YouTube and also Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Just search Griffon Sports Insider. We thank you for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. So long.